Hi, it's Karen Gilbert from simplysaidwithkaren.com, and I'm very pleased to be with you. I'm going to do a card using a technique that I have wanted to do for a long time and have never done it. So when I saw the Peaceful Cabin in the new catalog, it's the mini catalog, and it's on page 38, I decided that's the one I'm going to use it for, and it's the Northern Lights technique. This set also comes with dies that you can use, but as you can tell as we go through this, that you don't need any dies to do it. So I'm going to tell you the dimensions of the cardstock I'm using. I'm using Basic Black, and it is 8.5 by 5, scored at 4 1/4. A piece of polished pink, and this is from the new 21-23 in colors, and it's polished pink, and it is 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. I have a piece of Shimmer White, and it is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And this is a piece of Berry Vanilla, and it's 4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to go on the inside of the card. Okay, I'm using 3 colors for the Northern Lights. I'm using Pale Papaya, Evening Evergreen, and Polished Pink. Pardon my dogs barking. They're playing, and I'm going to use, now you can use either Daubers, or I'm going to use the blending brushes. These are really nice brushes to use, and I have one that's dedicated to black or the darker color like Basic Gray. I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black for the images, StaZon to do the outside of the area, and I'm also going to be using Craft Very Whisper White. Started. Now the first thing we have to do is do our Northern Lights. This tends to get messy, so I would have a clean rag around you and it'll be fine. So I'm going to start with the Pale Papaya and a blending brush. Now with the blending brushes, you just go very lightly, and then you can put it onto your scrap paper. You just need to get ink on it, so and then take a bit of the ink off on some scratch paper. So I'm going to be doing the up and down one. There's various ways you can do this. You can do it with going in streaks, or you can just do it using going in circles. But get enough ink on the paper, because the black will take some of it out. So we'll just keep going with that. These brushes are so nice to use. They're soft, and if you use the classic inks in them, which are able to clean them with just water, you can have them always so nice looking, although the color will stay sometimes. So there's my first up and down. So the next one we're going to use is the polished pink. No, sorry, we're going to use the Evening Evergreen. And it's going to go down the other two sides of this Pale Papaya streak. You'll notice that when I put this down, when I start, there's a blob. So you want to be able to smooth it out before you get started. So just take it down the length of the pale papaya. And that's probably enough. I know it doesn't look like much, and every time you do this, you're going to get a different pattern. Now I'm going to use the polished pink. Now you don't have to press really hard with this. It's just, you have to work on the color. Now the next thing we're going to do, use the StaZon Black. And I have used the blending brushes for that. So I'm just going to be keeping this dedicated to one color. Here we go. Let's take it across here. And just keep blending. Now if you do get that blotch, we'll try and blend it out, but sometimes it's not possible. So that's alright, because this technique does not need to be precise. Make sure if you do this technique to have your art piece on top of scratch paper. And I'm going to switch over to a dauber. To finish it up. Just make sure that you don't cover up too much, or you won't be able to see your focal point. So now I'm going to use the Basic Cabin stamp set. And this is the cabin that we're going to use. Memento Black. I just re-inked this, so we should get a really nice black image. There, that looks good. I'm also going to use the Peaceful Deer because I want the trees. And this one has a set of trees, but I think they're too big. Okay, here we go. Get my black ink in here. Okay, so we're going to start up about here, and I'm going to be off the paper. Hopefully you can see that. Now we're just going to keep stamping black trees. Now we're going to bring in this set of trees, and it's a bit smaller than the ones I just used. And we'll start over here and do the same thing. We'll just bring it down. filling in the gaps where necessary. And here's some smaller set of trees that we'll use here. I know you probably think it's a black mess, but it will look nice when you're finished. So how are you liking this so far? Looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to use now the Whisper White craft ink, and there's some stars in the stamp set, and we're going to use those. Now you can do this some various ways. You can use the very excuse me, I keep wanting to call it very vanilla, but it's Whisper White, and stamp them. Or you can use Versamark and use embossing powder, white embossing powder. Depends on how bright you want these stars to be. So I'm just going to do a pattern around here. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is a craft ink, it takes a while to dry. So I'm just going to turn this over and put it on my scratch paper. And this will also take out some of the brightness if you don't want so much bright. So that's it. So now we can just put the card together. Put it onto the polished pink, and I'm going to use my now I'm going, because there's a very narrow border on the pink and between the pink and the art piece, I'm going to use my grid paper so I can see where I'm going and make it as straight as I can. There, that looks good. Now I think I'm going to put this little wolf, or whatever the heck he is, on the bottom there someplace. I know I put him up on a little knoll, but for the purposes of this one, I'm going to just put him up down below, like he's walking across. And I forgot that I was going to use the fence, so we'll put that in there now. Now, for this one, you can either have the fence go down like that, curved, sort of, or up. There. Okay, now that I got all the stamping done, finally, we'll just do the last few parts of this to finish it up. So we're going to put this onto the basic black card base. Grid paper to line it up. So I have the fold going there. The bottom is on the bottom of the grid paper. And we'll just see what we get here. There. Finally, we're just going to stamp a sentiment on here. And I think for this one, I'm going to use "Your kindness makes the world a better place." So we'll just use the memento on this, the black tuxedo. Make sure you get it upside right, although it doesn't matter because we've not put it. So again, you can use your grid paper to line this up, providing you've got your label on straight. I know what I'm going to do. Instead of doing, I'm going to use the cabin, and we're going to just stamp it off on the bottom, off the bottom of the card. There. So just on the bottom there. And we'll just take the stamp and seal and put some more adhesive on here and get it into the card. There. This is a relatively quick and easy card, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I would love it if you would visit my blog and sign up for my newsletter. It comes out once a month, and I usually send out a few other emails during the month giving you some information. It could be projects, it could be how to use your tools, it could be answers to your questions that I've gotten from my customers. So I hope you've enjoyed it. You can go to my blog at www.simplysaidwithkaren.com. It's all one word, and have a look around and you'll find some other techniques there. I also have some other cards up my sleeve that use this stamp set and the dies. So I will be publishing those on my blog throughout the next couple of weeks. Here's one here that shows you that that it's just not for winter. You can actually do it as a cabin in the woods in the summertime. That was fun to do. This one just uses all the different die cuts and the cork paper. So I hope you join me. Keep checking back on my blog, and thank you once again for joining me. Bye now.